I was really hoping this angle would work for our update. Oh, I feel that, Dory. Here we go. Great. Okay, well, this is what I have to offer today. I don't know if okay, goodbye. I don't know if I just have like the world's worst allergies or if I'm getting sick. It came on like allergies, like out of nowhere, eyes watering. Like I know the difference between what these symptoms feel like when they're allergies and what they feel like when they're sick, like when I'm sick. And it came on out of nowhere last night like allergies, but then it hasn't gone away yet. And I took some Benadryl last night, but I didn't have any like 24-hour non-drowsy type of allergy medicine. So I just ordered some of that. And then I took Dayquil today, but it hasn't really helped. That makes me think it possibly is allergies and that the Benadryl just worked like last night. So anyway, you literally didn't ask this, but that's why we're here. I'm not getting up. I have been reading The Girl with All the Gifts, which I literally didn't know anything about this. All I knew is that at some point I must have watched a YouTube video or a TikTok, I'm guessing it was a YouTube video, where someone was talking about the premise of this, because I didn't know what it was, but I just knew whenever I saw the cover that something in my head, ding, 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 that like this was something I was really interested in and wanted to read. I thought maybe it was recently published, but it was published in 2014. So it definitely isn't that it's like a new release or anything, but I'm like so into it. I'm already like almost 20% of the way through, and it's pretty long. I think it's like 400 and some pages. It's giving post-apocalyptic vibes where we're starting off following this girl, Melanie? I think it's Melanie. It's Melanie, I think. She's describing what a day, like just her life, like right now. She lives in this like facility that kind of is like a jail, but you're getting the vibe that it's not. It's like some sort of either like science base or army base where there are other kids there that all spend most of their time locked in this cell. Also, like pretty much all they do is get like wheeled off and strapped down, and then they go to school, and there's like a classroom with all of them, and she spends the rest of her time just like reciting things to herself about what she's learned. And it's so interesting because she's like a kid, like I think she's supposed to be like 10 or 11, but she also is like talking about reciting all of this stuff that you wouldn't learn until like high school or college to herself to kind of help the time pass, because there are days that she doesn't have class that they literally just sit there and they're not allowed to do anything. Then also getting the vibe though that these are kids, but like not quite, because there are things that she's describing that is like not fully human, like how they only are allowed to eat and they only get fed once a week, but it's not like that's the only time that they're allowed to eat. It's like that's what sustains them, is they get fed this just like gruel, and you are seeing her life knowing that something is weird and wrong, but this is all she's ever known. So she's just describing her life like it is. And I don't want to give too much away because I think there's already things that we're learning about that aren't mentioned in the synopsis. The synopsis is pretty vague, but I just love the way that this is written, where we are figuring out what is going on through the lens of mainly this child who has only ever known this life, and then little snippets of adults who have a bigger picture of the world and have a bigger understanding and remember things that have been going on longer than this kid. But I wanted to update you because I am just like loving this so far. And with the way that we're getting fed information, I feel like it was good to do an update before I really have a better understanding of like where this plot is even going, because I couldn't tell you. In a turn of events definitely no one saw coming and could never have predicted, I was in fact sick. And that was not just really, really long allergies that did not respond to allergy medication. Weird how that works, although I will go down swinging that it started off as allergies and then manifested the next morning into definitely getting some sort of a virus. But luckily, I am almost on the up and up. It is now Tuesday. I think I filmed that clip on Friday. I just know that I was down and out throughout the entire weekend. I missed the Super Bowl. I was sleeping most of the time, and I finally can breathe through my nose again, and I have like 50 to 70% of my energy back. I did attempt to get up and like do some cleaning and I thought I was like good to go today, and I wore myself out a little bit. But with that being said, I thought that I would get a lot of reading done since I was literally sitting around doing nothing, but I was so sick and tired that I couldn't really focus on that. Like I literally just basically had Schitt's Creek in the background. However, one thing I did do that I don't remember if I mentioned in that last clip is that I started The Last of Us, which is really interesting because weird turn of events. The girl with all of the gifts in The Last of Us, kind of similar, especially the beginning part of the girl with all the gifts and the beginning part of The Last of Us, they just gave similar vibes. So the fact that I was consuming those two pieces of media simultaneously, I was like, this is really weird. I meant to look up to see if this is a spoiler. I think the synopsis is extremely misleading. So I guess if you don't want to know anything about this plot, you can skip, because I respect that, because I'm someone who doesn't go in and really even read synopsis very often. However, if you even look at like the non-spoilerly good, I always say spoilerly, but it's not, it's spoilery. The non-spoiler reviews on Goodreads, it mentions the fact that this is a post-apocalyptic. Okay, apparently part of also recovering from being sick is that I can't talk. And I feel like I sound weird, but it could just be that I'm a little stuffed up and I haven't heard myself talk in a few days. Hopefully I sound less weird than I did in the last clip. But anyway, if you don't want to know, I'll leave but it's mild, okay? I'm not going to talk about anything with the plot, just the fact that what this book actually is about, which is not a thriller. It is a post-apocalyptic zombie book, like The Last of Us, where we have these group of people, specifically one young girl, who is seemingly sort of kind of immune to this fungal virus that turns everyone into human-eating zombies. And then you have an adult who is set to kind of protect this girl. This did go off in a different direction, the plot of this in general, than I thought it was going to, and I wish that we would have sat in the unknowing for a little bit longer. This book kicks off right about after I updated you, around the 20% mark, is when like our main character, she kind of starts figuring out what's going on with her, she starts figuring out what's going on in the outside world, and the outside world kind of comes with this life that she has been living in this like very isolated, not knowing who she is or what is going on and what the world is actually like kind of life. And I don't know if I love that, because then it did kind of turn into a traditional zombie apocalypse survival story, which I would think I would like, and actually at one point was what I was looking for. I remember looking for like apocalyptic kind of books, but I don't know. I think it's just because it's like the first part of it was working so well for me when we were in this vague, not getting all of the answers, learning about this world through Melanie's point of view when she was kept so ignorant to everything. And then we went into, all of a sudden you're forced to face, like you gotta know what's going on. And we're getting a lot of these answers. And I will say I'm glad that I started picking up the audiobook for it, because the audiobook is really good. And I think it's what's going to propel me through this. It's not that it's bad, I'm still vibing with it. It's just not as good as I was hoping that it would be from that initial setup. But I do think that it is going to be more, like, I get why people like this, and I think that the plot of this makes it more widely appealing than what the setup of it was initially and what I thought it was gonna be. If that makes any sense. I feel like it is taking my sick brain 5 sentences to say what I would normally say in 1, and that's saying a lot, because normally it takes me a lot of sentences. So it's even more. But since I was getting a little bit, not bored, kind of bored, I decided to pick up and start reading a few stories from Out There Screaming, which actually works out perfectly because this is an anthology, so I figure we can just sprinkle in my reviews of some of these stories like as we are going throughout the rest of this vlog. What is this vlog? I don't know. I hope I find out along the way. What is this hairstyle? I don't know. I started curling my bangs because I wanted to do pigtail braids, and then I put up this side really quickly with a scrunchie after I curled a few pieces so that I could braid this side, and then I liked how that looked. So I just threw in another scrunchie on this side and called it good. Out There Screaming is a Black horror anthology that was edited and put together and curated by Jordan Peele. I've been so excited about this. It's the Literally Dead book club pick for February. I had already sat down and started reading the first one because it was by N.K. Jemisin when I was at Barnes & Noble one day. And the thing is that anthologies don't normally work out for me, not because I don't like short stories necessarily, although that is to be seen, to be honest, but mainly because of my ADHD, I never get all the way through an anthology. So the fact that this is part of the Literally Dead book club picks this year, therefore I'm gonna wanna be able to talk about it with people, and I'm excited to be able to, like, I think the plan is that we're gonna, like, they're gonna break down and talk about each one of these individually, and that motivates me even more to read all of these, rather than just like skip around or read a few and then put it down and never pick it back up again, because technically it's done. You know, if I finish a story, I don't have to pick this back up, says my ADHD brain. I don't know if my expectations are correct for short stories or not, because very rarely do I feel like a short story is a 5-star, but is that because I'm expecting the feelings that I get from a novel or a novella? And that's not very fair, right? Because it's a short story. But is it fair? Like, I have had stories that have stuck with me, that when I think of short stories, I can pull out them in my mind from other anthologies that I've read. So maybe it is possible. So maybe my expectations aren't too high. But the reason I'm asking myself that now is because I haven't had as many like outstanding 5 stars as I thought that I was going to when I first thought about picking this up. And I don't think it's the stories. I think it might just be me. So therefore, hopefully talking about it with people will help, because I do feel like a few of these, after talking about them, I wrote in my notes, could be 5 stars. Especially the first one by N.K. Jemisin, Reckless Eyeballing. I gave it a 4.5 with a question mark, with an asterisk. Asterisk? 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 I don't think it's asterisk. Asterisk. I feel like there's a noise my brain wants to make that my mouth is not making. I think it could be a 5 star after discussing it with people. But then there was a story, Eye and Tooth by Rebecca Roanhorse, that I gave 4 stars, but I did like the setup of it. But the thing that I'm running into with a lot of these is that I feel like I could give it 5 stars, but then the ending and the horror part of it happens so quickly. Like the resolution, or this big thing that we're building up to, it happens in like a half a page. If these were like 4-page stories would make sense. But when there's like a 20-page short story and then the climax happens in half a page, I'm just like, I feel like we could have spent a couple pages on that. And it would have been more fleshed out and it would have felt like more satisfying, I guess. So I've read 4 in total so far. Let me find. The third one I gave a 3. The last one that I read, I literally just put question marks. And a lot of the ones that I'm most excited for have yet to come. Tanana Reeve Dew has one, Nnedi Okorafor, Ernie Adams, T. Jelly Clark. But either way, I'm so excited about this, and I love the foreword that Jordan Peele put in here. He talks about the concept of the sunken place from Get Out and how he thought of that, and how it's different for every person, and how he has always seen horror and recognizes it as a medium for people to be able to process the real life horrors that they go through and the trauma that they go through, but that was not always available to Black people, because those were not always the stories that were getting published, and that those stories were not always being told on a wider scale. So the importance of having a Black horror anthology where Black authors can flesh out these different types of horrors in this medium, and how important having a collection like this is, and getting more stories, and especially more stories from Black people and people of color and marginalized people in horror, because it is such a way for people to be able to process through and deal with trauma, and it can be a safe way to kind of process through those emotions, and how important it is that different people see themselves represented in the genre. So he says, in this collection, 19 brilliant Black authors give us their sunken places. They come in many forms: dances with the devil, fantasies of alternate realities, monsters real and imagined. They are raw imaginings of our deepest dreads and desires, and they will not be forgotten. Okay, so maybe from here on out, I'll update you after every 5 short stories that I read, so that we have 3 more updates on this one, and I'll sprinkle those throughout this vlog. Perfect, that'll be a good way to break things up too. So I think my plan is to turn this vlog into a read and reset with me, because wow, do I need it. Not only do I need to reset and like clean my space from being sick and just like the things that kind of got behind, but also I was looking at this room today, which is like my filming slash laundry slash huge closet room slash workroom slash hallway to the big bathroom. It's just a big space that I have in my house that I've always kind of struggled to figure out what I want to do with. It was my bedroom at first, because I just thought I'd want a big bedroom, and then I was like, I don't need this much room in my bedroom. So then I tried to turn it into my filming room, which has worked, clearly. But I want a second space to film too. Like, I'm thinking I want to put this chair in this corner and like decorate this corner a little bit. Maybe I want to make this wall black, but I can't do that in the state that everything was currently in, which was just feeling so overwhelmed with the amount of clothes and fabric that I had in this room that I've acquired, because I'm used to my entire adult life, I've moved at least once a year. I've either moved apartments, or I've moved cities, or I've moved back and forth between going to school in Michigan and being from Missouri, or I've completely relocated. And because of that, it made it really easy for me to not acquire a lot of stuff, because every time I had to move that stuff. And then therefore my brain was like, or I could just get rid of most of these things. So that's what I did. Except now I've been here for 2 years, and I've been in Springfield for going on 3. I've just been collecting a lot of shit, especially because this is the first time I've lived in a bigger space than a 1-bedroom apartment, or an apartment where I only occupy one of the bedrooms. And it's gotten a little overwhelming. I have 2 kind of big goals for the day, which are hefty considering it's 2 p.m. and I still have to make a quick trip somewhere, figure out what I'm doing with all of these clothes, that goal has now turned into this room in general. Hang up / put away my clothes. I have like a half no fold laundry system, which I'll try to film like some B-roll for you and show you, where I have basically a bunch of laundry hampers where I put the things that I don't need to hang up inside of. In a semi-organized, each hamper has a category. And then I also have a rolling cart where I hang up the things that do need to be hung up. They can't just be like put in a basket because they're either too big or they get very wrinkly very easily. I have a lot of laundry I need to do, but I just have a lot of like clean laundry here too that I need to be putting away. And I've already been working on this room, oops, hello, hi, for like an hour and a half. And it's feeling a lot better. I can tell that I've gotten to the point where it got worse before it could get better, and now we've hit the peak worseness and we're coming back to the more organized portion of the cleaning process. So that's big goal number one. Big goal number two is that currently I am responsible for cooking dinner, and my kitchen is not usable because there's just a bunch of shit all over my counters because I cleared off part of my counter to make way to set up my espresso machine, which I have owned for over a year. I got it for Christmas, not this last Christmas, the Christmas before that, yes, not 2023, 2022, and it's just been sitting in the box because my ADHD thinks, oh yeah, I want to set that up. There's so many times that I want coffee, or I want a latte or an espresso or some steamed milk, and because it's not set up, I can't do that, but also because my counters just have like a bunch of shit on them, I couldn't set up the machine. So I cleared off that entire space, deep cleaned the counter on that section, and I'm gonna need that space later. So that definitely has to happen before tonight. But I also just have this like stack of random books that I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with, which also is gonna involve organizing my shelves in a better way because I've run out of room with how they are organized now. I haven't actually run out of room, I just need to organize them better. That was a long monologue to tell you what we are doing here today. Maybe I'll set an alarm for 3:30. I owned an iPhone for a very long time. I've been an iPhone girly since like it was the phone I got after my Razor. So a while. And I had no idea that you could just click on the alarm to change the time. So I've been setting, like if I had an alarm already for 4, but I needed an alarm for 4:15, set a new one. If I needed an alarm for 4:20, set a new one. And you could just scroll endlessly. I cleaned this out a while ago. I wish I hadn't so that I could show you that literally you could just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. My partner went to go set an alarm and she clicked it and I was like, excuse me, what did you just do? She was like, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I've been setting new alarms every time I needed a new time. What do you mean? I'm gonna continue listening to some audiobooks. I'm finishing up The Girl with All the Gifts. I'm really close. We can do this. I don't know if you can tell that I'm absolutely covered in cat hair, but if you can, no you can't. I feel like my house would be a billion times cleaner at all points in time if I didn't have 3 cats, 2 of which I swear are the sheddiest short-haired cats anyone has ever owned. I don't understand how they have so much hair. I'm also realizing where I'm sitting currently on the opposite side of the room from both my hangers and the thing I hang my clothes on and my no-fold laundry system. I'm realizing that's 3 things. 2 main things, you get it, is the worst place I could be doing this task, but it's fine. I did in fact finish The Girl with All the Gifts just now, and I will say it ended differently than I was expecting. The plot, I mean, already didn't go where I was thinking it was gonna go, and it was more of a traditional zombie apocalypse story, and I still think that's true, but it did take a little bit of a turn, which I did appreciate, and for the turn it took, I really did like how it ended. I'm still thinking I'm probably gonna give this like 3.5 stars. Is that unfair? And would normally it have been a 4? Possibly. I enjoyed it, I just didn't love it. And what can you do? But I also started reading, allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson, I can't tell you why I decided to start reading this when I did. All I know is that it was on sale on Kindle, and I was like, oh, I've been wanting to, like, I know I like Tiffany D. Jackson. My plan was to read Allegedly at some point. So I was like, I'll buy it, I'll put it on my Kindle. I think I had Kindle credits, so it was free. And I was like, this way, like, I don't have to buy the paperback book, and whenever I decide I want to read this, it'll be there for me to be able to read it. And then I just started reading it immediately. I believe that this is Tiffany D. Jackson's debut book, which I've read Grown and the Carrie retelling. That's like my favorite Tiffany D. Jackson, and I can't remember what it's called. This one here. And I felt like there was a third one. I started White Smoke, but then I DNF'd it. But this one, I will say, big trigger warning for dealing with a lot of hard topics, including abuse, especially childhood abuse, especially also, like, there's an infant and child death, and a look at the justice system and how corrupt it is, especially when you are kind of raised in the correctional system. But our main character, fuck, whose name I don't remember because I'm so bad with names and I never remember people's names and I don't know where my phone is and I don't have my Kindle on me right now to be looking. But I will find that out for the next update. No thanks, sir. She grew up and her mom was like local babysitter. No, Oliver, stop menacing. Just lay down. Take a little break. She was responsible for a kid. Our main character is black, so is her mom. The kid was white, and in the care of the mom and the little girl died. And the little girl was convicted for the baby's murder. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that we're getting vibes from the very beginning that like clearly that's not it. There's more to the story than just a 9-year-old was responsible for the murder of this baby. But she was kind of demonized and villainized by the media and by the prosecution. And they had like all of this evidence and all of these people being like, you know, like she was bad from the start. She was broken from the start. We're almost like we're not surprised that she did this. So now flash forward, it's like 6 years later, she's 15, she's like 14 or 15. She's been in the system her entire time, but now she's in a group home and she's been seeing this guy, gets pregnant, and then realizes that she's not gonna be able to keep the baby. So she's like, I've gotta right this wrong. Comes up to her mom, who is like not a mom. She sees her like once every 2 weeks and basically to like preach at her and to make herself feel better about visiting her child. And it's like a charity case. Like everyone at her local church is like, oh, you're so sweet for even going to see her. Ugh. She finds out that she's pregnant and then she's not gonna be able to keep the baby, and she's like, you have to tell them the truth. You have to come clean. I've done enough, I've protected you. And her mom's like, what are you talking about? Pretends like she has no idea. So that's around where we're at right now. And she's just been, I mean, obviously going through it. Growing up in the system in the United States, especially as a black person, and especially as a little girl, doesn't set you up for a lot of success. And she's just trying to do the best with the situation that she is in. I don't have the audiobook for that, I'm just reading it on my Kindle. So maybe I'll continue listening to the audiobook of Out There Screaming. Maybe I'll start another audiobook. Who knows, I'll keep you updated. Okay, this room is far from perfect, but it is functional and it is so much cleaner than it was when we started. So put away all of the clothes, cleared off this. This is what I do while I clean up so I don't get overwhelmed. If there are things that need to go somewhere that don't belong in the room, I just throw them in a basket and I'll deal with that at a later time. Otherwise, I get sidetracked. I'm gonna do something with this corner, but for now, everything is out of the way. I put most of the books away other than the ones that I have out because I need them. And then this is my laundry setup. So I have, those are my dirty clothes. These are the clothes that I have to hang up. These are the baskets and the basket setup here. I just have like baskets on the floor for like all of the extra things, not clothing items, but like underwear, bra, leggings, tights, bedding stuff, slash towels, because I don't really know where I'm gonna put the extra towels right now. So they're just going there. I have a basket for swimsuits, and then I just have them kind of split up into like short sleeve shirts, long sleeve shirts, lounging outfits down here. Those are like matching sets slash jumpers. My 2 things of sweatshirts, and then jean bottom things there. Don't focus on my hand. So here we go. All of these are clean. And all of these are clothes that I actually see myself wearing. Now I just need to stop pointing so it stops focusing on my finger and wash those clothes that are in the dirty laundry hamper overflowing. Apparently I thought that right when I was going to be filming in the kitchen was the best time for me to start my dishwasher, but unfortunately I do need those dishes tonight to cook. So we're just gonna have to ignore them here for a few seconds for this clip. This is the espresso machine that I need to at least semi get set up. Even I feel like if I just have it out here and then I can start putting the things around it, I can decide if I can fit my Vitamix over here, if I even want my Vitamix over here, and then move, I don't know if you can see, but all this stuff, find a home for it so that my kitchen is once again usable. That's the plan. And I'm so excited! Oops. Well, drink happened. My tripod is slowly lowering, and come to find out, trying to film and steam milk and brew espresso, more difficult than I would have thought. I mean, listen, it's a latte, it's good. I definitely know that my espresso game needs work. I think I need to let the milk froth and create air bubbles longer than I would normally think. Because after like 8 to 10 seconds, I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for a really long time, but I just think the steam one, it needs more time. But only because I would like a lot of milk foam. So I finished allegedly. The first 80% of it was like a 3.5, 4 star. I really was enjoying it. It got a little bit repetitive at times, and I think that it could have been edited down and been a little bit shorter, but I felt connected to the character. I felt like intrigued. And the thing is that it's building up this entire time to what you can tell there's going to be a twist. It has that mystery thriller background kind of vibe. It's set across a landscape of literary fiction. Mary is like really going through it, so I could kind of understand too the repetitive nature of the book because it kind of mirrored Mary's life and the repetitive nature of feeling like bullshit just keeps cycling and happening to you, and it's the same kind of bullshit over and over again. And one thing that I really love about Tiffany D. Jackson's writing is that it's often following a Black female main character who is like a teenager, and they feel so real. You root for them, but they don't always make mistakes, or they don't always make decisions that you would agree with. They are fully human. And I always really feel like her character work is so well done. The thing about the ending though, is that I, at first, when I first started this book, thought about this twist being a possibility. And then the more that the book went on, I was like, okay, it can't possibly be this because she hasn't even alluded to it. For me, what makes such a good twist is if I don't see it coming, but when it does happen and it's revealed, I can be like, oh my God, yeah. Like the signs were there, I just missed them. Or there were some red herrings to kind of throw me off, but like I can see how we got there now that hindsight is 2020. This is not that. I was convinced it couldn't possibly be what I was thinking because it is not set up at all. It comes out of absolutely nowhere. And that just did not work for me in this scenario because then it kind of undoes all of the things that I was loving about the book. But with that being said, I don't have an issue with the twist. Actually would have really loved it if it was just set up a little bit better or at all. But because of that, I just ended up feeling really disappointed. However, a really cool thing that was just like a weird coincidence is that, was it in this book? Or now I'm questioning whether it was in this book or in The Girl with All the Gifts. It was. This is absolutely unrelated to the plot. It was just a really weird coincidence, and I want to know how she came up with this. So Mary spent some time in what she calls baby jail after she was convicted and found guilty for the murder of baby Alyssa? I think it's Alyssa. And she's talking about her ID number from baby jail. And the ID number is my exact birthday with no other numbers added to it other than a 0 at the beginning. My birthday is March 14th, 1996, and the number is 003-1496. And I just wonder if Tiffany D. Jackson knows someone that has that birthday and like that's how, or if it was literally just like random numbers. If it was, that's funny. But I'm like, that is so weird. Anyway, literally doesn't have any bearing on my rating or the book at all. Just a fun little thing. I think my final rating for this book is gonna be like 2.5 stars. That ending just really ruined it for me, and I have to be so vague because I don't want to say anything that might end up spoiling it for anyone. Just know that like I liked the twist. I just don't like how it was done and set up. Maybe I'll go more in depth on a Goodreads review, so you can follow me on Goodreads. I make no promises on that, but maybe I'll do like a spoiler Goodreads review so that I can talk a little bit more about my feelings about the twist. Also, if you haven't noticed, yesterday I went through and I finally, when I put this channel together, I just like threw together a YouTube banner and used one of the profile pictures that I already had from when I had brown hair, like a year ago. I don't look like that anymore. That had plants in the background, didn't have anything to do with books. So I was going through and tweaking some things on my channel anyway, and I was like, maybe I should make a banner and change my profile picture. So now I have an updated profile picture. I have a new YouTube banner that just has like some cutouts of some of my like all-time favorite books. That way, hopefully, if any of those are your favorite, you know that you're in the right place, that this is your place and your people. Okay, so this is round 2 of filming this part because I filmed this a couple of days ago and this is what the footage looked like. It looks like I filmed this on like a 2008 camera. I don't know what happened, so I've completely reset the settings on my camera back to the default settings, and I'm hoping maybe that fixes the constant ongoing issues that I've been having with my camera the last couple of months. Hoping it doesn't have the same quality. If it does, I apologize, and just know that it's only gonna last for this clip, but I have to give you this update so that I can post this vlog because I did not update you for the rest of me reading the short stories from Out There Screaming. I might have lied a little bit, but here's the thing. I thought it was me. I thought I was like adjusting my ratings thinking maybe it's just me and the fact that I'm not used to short stories, and maybe I am trying to put them on like too high of a level, like trying to expect the feelings I would get from a novella or a full-length novel, and that's not very fair. And I still agree that they're a little bit different, but I thought maybe the reason that I wasn't loving a lot of these was because of that, and therefore was kind of rating them higher than I actually thought that they were to try to adjust that scale. And I don't think it was just me. I'm so glad that I waited to update you for the rest of them until I watched the Literally Dead book club, because here's the thing. A lot of these stories for me were fine. Some of them I didn't really like. Most of them were like, okay, forgettable. There were a couple that I gave 5 stars to that I'll talk about here in a second. But I think a lot of what Kayla said in that live show put words to kind of how I was feeling. The major thing being, the reason that I feel like a lot of people would pick this up, the reason that I was so excited about this, is because it's edited by Jordan Peele. And other than that like couple of pages that we get at the beginning in a prologue, Jordan Peele is not in this at all. And I didn't even know that this was a thing, but Kayla brought up that for the Book of Swords anthology that her and Aaron also read together for their book club, the editor of that anthology at the end of each short story kind of put a little blurb about why they picked that story or how it fit into the themes of this collection. And that's what this needed. I wanted to hear from Jordan Peele, why did you pick these stories specifically? Or preferably, I wanted a short story by Jordan Peele. Why did we not get a short story by Jordan Peele? You could take Jordan Peele off of this cover and take out that prologue, and I would just think that this was like a okay collection of speculative and horror short stories. And I did not love it the way that I wanted to. However, there was one specific one that I was like, oh my god, that was a 5-star favorite. I will be thinking about it for a really long time. And then a few that I really loved. The one that was like, oh my god, 5-star favorite. If nothing else, I feel like you should just go to your library and check this out and read this story. That is Your Happy Place by Terrence Taylor, who I'd never heard of before, and I would read from again. That was like a sci-fi story that has to do with our prison system and the 13th Amendment. That's all I'm gonna say. It was incredible. I almost want to reread it. I also really liked Dark Home by Nadia Okorafor, and that makes me excited to read more from Nadia Okorafor. I have a few books from them on my TBR. And I also really loved Eye and Tooth by Rebecca Roanhorse, which I think I talked about in the first update, that reminded me of kind of supernatural vibes. And Kayla said that if you liked that kind of writing, that is very reminiscent of Rebecca Roanhorse's writing, so now I'm excited to pick up a book from them too. But other than that, this was fine. I averaged my rating and I think it was like a 3.2. If I'm gonna be honest here, I think that that was a little bit above what I actually felt about a lot of these stories, because for most of this, I think some of like the 3s that I gave would honestly be more like a 2, 2.5. So overall, even though this had like some real big wins for me, I think that this felt at the end, I was just disappointed because I was expecting so much from it. So it felt like a 2.5, but I'll probably just do a 3 on Goodreads, knowing that it is a low 3 for me, which I hate. So many of these just felt like half thought out ideas. And I don't feel like I was the only one who felt that way from what I could see people saying in the comments of the live show. And that sucks because this was like one of my most anticipated reads of this year. I'm so sorry I didn't update you every 5. It's probably for the best. I think I needed some time to collect my thoughts, and then I'm glad that I found that one that I really love and some authors that I'm excited to read from again. This just wasn't a huge win for me. Now I'm gonna flash back to past Lexa for the outro. So hopefully you enjoyed this little reading reset. Let me know in the comments down below if you did any cleaning or reorganizing or resetting, or just, I don't know, the sun is out here. Hopefully the sun is out where you are if you are feeling just a little bit more human than you were last week. I'm right there with you. Although I think that it's supposed to get cold. That's for future Lexa to deal with, okay? Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye! Oh wait, leave a little cleaning emoji down below if you made it all the way to the end of the video. However you interpret clean, emojis, bubbles. Why can I not think of anything else that would be clean? I don't know, if there's sponges or brooms or something. Okay, anyway, bye.